Hi everyone, it's Leanne Wood-Newman here from the KBIS PR team, and it is December 11th, and we are 38 days away from KBIS 2015. And I think with the holidays here, in a blink, it'll be here. January's coming very quickly. And Brian, I think you probably have a lot of things on your plate over the next 38 days, getting ready for the show.
Yeah, just a couple things. We're in the final stages of putting everything together from the directory to we just launched our smartphone app earlier this week. I mean, there's no shortage of things to do over the next 38 days. So lots of sleepless nights.
And we'll try and fit some holidays in there too. Excuse me if there's some background noise. I'm actually not in my office today. We're filming live from New York City. Does that not sound glamorous? So as many of you know, and from previous Hangouts, we are presenting a new concept called KBIS NeXT this year. We talked about the programming on the KBIS NeXT stage in a previous Hangout, and today we're here to talk about the KBIS NeXT Tech Bar. And the Tech Bar is sponsored by Consumer Reports. Today we have Dan DeClerico, and he's the senior editor of Consumer Reports, and who's actually going to be a Tech Bar host as well as sponsoring. So Dan's going to be very busy. Dan, so glad you could join us today.
Hey, it's great to be here. We're really excited to be working with you guys on the Tech Bar, so thank you very much. Perfect.
And also joining us today is another one of our Tech Bar hosts, Ronique Gibson. And Ronique is an associate architect. She's a lead AP. She's the author of the popular home and lifestyle blog called Stage Texture and home staging expert, and a new thing is on about.com. And Ronique also contributes to several influential design blogs and publications. So Ronique, thanks so much for joining us today. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Leanne. I'm excited for KBIS this year. I was there last year, but it sounds like this year is going to be even better, so I'm excited.
Bigger, better, bolder. I think that's what we've been saying. It certainly is. So, Brian, can you tell us a little bit? Let's jump right into the Tech Bar. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of the concept behind the Tech Bar?
Yeah, sure. So, really what we wanted to do is think about that overall attendee experience, and a big part of that was KBIS NeXT and South Hall in general. But really, we wanted to create a nice casual space where people could really get out of rows, get into circles, and work with their peers in these small group environments. And what better way to address that than doing something that's very timely, regardless of what category of the industry you're in, and really focusing on technology and how that really factored into the kitchen and bath design process. So the KBIS NeXT Tech Bar is really all about that. And certainly, we're very fortunate to have our friends at Consumer Reports being a part of this as a sponsor, and thankfully they felt the same way.
Yes, it is going to be great, and we're expecting it's going to be a bit of a different format. We're expecting that sometimes the host will be having a great one-on-one talk. Other times you might have a larger group depending on the topic. So it's really going to vary. Now, Dan, I asked you to be a Tech Bar host well before Consumer Reports came on board to sponsor the Tech Bar, simply because of your great knowledge of products for the automated home, and we were quite intrigued by that and thought you'd be a great Tech Bar host. But also, so now that Consumer Reports are sponsoring, there's going to be, I believe, a couple people from the Consumer Reports editorial team, and hosting a talk each day, not just one talk, so that's great. So can you tell us a little bit about the talks that Consumer Reports are hosting?
Sure. No, again, we're really excited, and yeah, we did expand the program a bit here, so we're still going to devote a full session to this issue of connectivity and home automation. It just gets bigger and bigger every year, but more importantly, I think it gets increasingly accessible for regular consumers, and that's very important for us as much as we're at the show looking for the latest and greatest new innovations. We really want to make sure that we're giving our readers news they can use. And I think that's absolutely what we're seeing with connectivity. One quick example that we'll be talking about is programmable thermostats. So in our latest test of these devices, we tested about 30 models, and half of them had some sort of remote control, Wi-Fi access. So that's really different. Just a couple of years ago, there were only a handful. So you can really see where the market's going. And they're fairly easy to use, and they're not outrageously expensive. So this is a real growth area. And we're really excited to see what's new at the show. So that's going to be one of our sessions. The second one is energy efficiency. We know that this is a key feature for more and more consumers. When people are buying a house, they are absolutely looking for the Energy Star appliances. They are asking to see how much energy and the utility bills cost. So that's always an area of interest for us. I can remember a few years back seeing the Honeywell wind turbine at the show, which we actually got into our labs or onto the roof of our labs, I should say, and tested it out. So there's always a lot of really interesting energy efficiency related technologies at the show and coming out of our labs. So that's going to be a second session. The final thing is time savings. We all know how time pressed we are. Time is such a commodity. So it's a big part of how we test products. For example, we're become big fans of induction cooking for that reason. We tested a bunch of steam ovens after last year's show, seeing all the steam ovens on display there. So that's going to be the third element that we're looking for and presenting on at the show, at the Tech Bar.
Okay, so I mean, literally the technology that designers need to know about when they're presenting an automated home to their clients, and including those kind of time-saving features, energy efficiency. So great topics for the Tech Bar. Now, the process by which you review the products has always intrigued me. Can I ask you quickly, I know it's not exactly about the Tech Bar, can I ask you quickly about how you and your team actually approach a show like KBIS? How do you walk through the aisles and what do you do? What do you look for?
Yeah, so we really are there trying to see it through the eyes of the consumer. We are looking for products and services that are going to make their homes run better, more efficiently, as I noted, more beautiful. Obviously, our homes are a reflection of ourselves, so we want them to be as beautiful as possible. So that's really what we're looking for. A lot of our readers, already own their home, so there's a special interest in anything that's going to work for a remodel. But that's what we're really there for, and that's why we're particularly keen on having our sessions later in the day, so that we'll be in a position to share towards the end of the day all of those great products and services with other attendees at the show. So I think it's going to be really great.
So it's almost like a sneak peek if people want to know what kind of the editors identified as from Consumer Reports as the hot picks. Join Consumer Reports in the Tech Bar every day at 3:15 for great discussion. So that's awesome. So Brian, talking about awesome topics, can you we have a lot that are in the Tech Bar, and we just like to go over them very quickly. Can you maybe just mention half of them, and then we'll mention the other half at the end of the Hangout?
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, there's a ton of great content here, and what we've tried to do is set it up so it's very easy for our audience to come and hang out with us. The Tech Bar, these speeches or presentations go on the 15th of every hour. We're kicking off on day one at 10:15. Now, that's important to note. We want to make sure we gave everyone enough time after opening session to get over to South Hall. So we'll be starting with Leslie Carruthers, who's a well-known social media strategist. She'll be giving us advice on how designers can get published online. Then we have Deepa Mungara with House. She'll be answering questions on how to maximize House. Then Tim Clark with Improve It 360 will be giving us some insight into email marketing, which I know is very timely for a number of us. Then we have Eric Shipflang, they probably just slaughtered that one, founder of Sketches.net, who will be talking about 3D printing, which is something that I think we're going to see more in this space in the coming years. And then, of course, the 3:15 Consumer Report session, which we're very excited about. And then we'll have members of our KBIS social media team. So, Leanne, you and your crew will be there answering questions on everything social media. Then the next morning, on Wednesday the 21st, at 9:15, we have Brandon Smith from Decoup Media, who will be talking about content generation and really coming up with original content. And then for those of us who were here several weeks ago, we'll have Eric Enge, who will be presenting at KBIS NeXT about digital marketing and SEO. So it's a great opportunity to really take advantage of that resource. He's a very sharp guy. Then we lead into our friend Ronique.
What a segue. It's Ronique's. So Ronique, people call you a blogger extraordinaire. You run an incredibly successful blog. Could you brag a little bit about some of the stats, like maybe just your traffic or your audience? We just want to kind of hear these amazing numbers.
It's so funny that you say that, because it's kind of like when you ask a blogger about what their numbers are, it's kind of like asking a woman like how old she is. We don't want to talk about numbers, Leanne, but to be honest with you, I mean, I've been very fortunate over the last 5 years of Stagitecture, because many people say, you know, what does a blogger actually do? They're thinking all we do is write and, you know, we're on social media talking to our friends. But in reality, over these last 5 years, from Pinterest to Tumblr to Instagram to Facebook and Twitter, Google+, it's been a huge opportunity to link the consumer to brands, and also to be able to have a voice for, you know, originally I'm an associate architect, so it's interesting for me to be able to have the professional industry side connect with homeowners, but also be able to show it in a more home lifestyle way. And so over these years, I think, you know, my numbers have probably tripled over the years since I started in 2010. And it's been a great experience, because between linking with brands, but also, like I said, now I'm on the interior design community moderators, so I'm the blogger moderator there. So I'm able to connect with many designers and industry professionals who are trying to figure out how can they connect in a different way to their audience, because many times, you know, the brands always seem like they're a little standoffish, and now I think blogging and connecting with bloggers now makes it more of an even playing field, and we're kind of in a conversation as opposed to being kind of barked at. So it's been nice to be able to travel and, you know, experience all of the different people around the world that not only can connect with brands through bloggers, but also the exposure of being able to kind of have my voice in all of the different areas and arenas. So it's really exciting to be part of all of this. And the KBIS part is really exciting. Like I said, last year was my first year attending, and I couldn't wait until this year, so I'm excited.
Great to hear. Now you must have, you must get some common questions from people who might be wanting to start a blog, or have a year under their belt in blogging and not seeing much success. Do people try and pick your brain all the time, and what kind of questions do you get?
I do get a lot of questions. I think most of the questions actually aren't so much as to how to start it, because now with WordPress and Blogger, most people are able to, you know, it's great that it's like do it yourself now. You literally can be up and running with a blog in 5-10 minutes. But I think the biggest question is more on how to get their voice out from the blog and kind of amplify it. And I think many times we forget that social media is a huge tool, and between all of the different, you know, all of the different social media networks, from, you know, Facebook and LinkedIn and Google+, but we also have to remember that there is a connection between having you look like you're everywhere, but you personally aren't doing everything. And I think that's really my key. Is I always tell everyone, every time someone asks me, I am not running Stagitecture on my own. I have a team of writers. I have, you know, people who help me on social media, but I still have, you know, my eyes, kind of like eyes in the front and the back and the sides of my head, looking at each piece as they're running, kind of like a machine. But I always tell everyone, you can't do it all alone. So I think that that's probably my biggest takeaway that I always tell people is, like, you know, you can look like you're running the show, but in reality, you know, when you come home at the end of the day, you need to be able to have a team working with you.
Okay, so obviously, as I said, anyone who has a blog, who wants to write a blog, who wants to take theirs, and really your topic is about taking it to the next level. So please join Monique during her session and pick her brain. Ask any questions you want about taking a blog to the next level. So that's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go over the remaining topics really quickly. After Monique, on the second day, we actually have the three more interior design community moderators in a row. We have Ross Dunn, and you mentioned WordPress, and Ross is a WordPress expert. If you are on a WordPress platform, please stop by and talk to Ross if you have any questions. Then we have Lori Leisure, and she's talking about G+ itself. She's the founder of the G+ community, or sorry, the interior design community. And also, feel free to ask Lori anything about video, because she's a real pro. And then there's Sarah Daniela, who's talking about a new hot topic, which is e-design. So if that's something you're considering, come and see Sarah. And then we have the Consumer Reports Roundup again at 3:15. And we're going to end the day 2 again, with social media one-on-one. And honestly, even if it's you want to be on Instagram and you just don't know how to set it up or what you should do, anything about social media, my team is going to be there to answer any questions at the end of the day in the tech bar. And then Thursday, we're actually having a social media morning too. So remember that. Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, any questions you want to know about social media. Then we have Nora DePalma, who's the principal of O'Reilly DePalma, and she's going to be talking analytics and metrics, and no one loves a spreadsheet more than that woman, so she's a great person to pick. John Morgan is after Nora, and you'll recognize John's name as the former president of the NKBA, but he's also a design software specialist. So he's going to be talking about apps in the field, any kind of apps that a designer can do or can use to make their day a little bit easier. John knows about it. We have some brand representatives from 2020 Spaces on how to use 2020 for sales presentations, which will be great. And then, again, the 3:15 daily roundup with consumer reports, which I think is going to be a fantastic way to close the day out every day. So, phew, Brian, we talked a lot. We talked quickly. Anything else to add?
No, I think I'm just so excited about the small group environment that we're going to create. I mean, so often you talk content like this in these large, broad sessions, and I think it's really great to have that one-on-one interaction. It really should be a benefit to anyone who's interested in these topics.
Okay, that's great. Now, Dan, you have people, or you have someone monitoring the booth, the tech bar throughout the show, correct?
We do, yeah. We'll have someone there every minute. You know, we'll have a table set up, some issues of the magazine, answering any questions about the magazine or website. You know, perhaps delving a little bit more deeply into some of the topics that we're talking about.
That's perfect. Okay, so great topics, all 3 days. Consumer Reports is going to be there. Subject experts, just like Ronique, there. Please come. Q&As, small groups, larger groups. It's fun. Ryan, this week's KBIS housekeeping items. I know there's a few things to remind the audience about.
Yeah, in preparation for the holidays, just remember next week, best KBIS submissions are due by the 19th. That's next Friday, so we got a week to get those in. So if you're interested, please get your submission in by then. And then not to lose it during the rush of the holidays, but January 9th is going to be the deadline for the Innovation Booth Awards, which we really had some stiff competition last year. So I look forward to all the exhibitors putting forth their best effort in that particular award program.
Okay, great. And you mentioned the app is now available at the beginning of the Hangout, so please, everyone, go ahead and download that and start planning your show and your route. There's some great functions in the app, so download that and have a look. Okay, so wrapping it up, next Thursday, man, we're getting close to Christmas. Next Thursday is December 19th, and we're going to have a holiday party with Blog Tour Vegas. Veronica Miller is going to be with us, and with several members of the Blog Tour Vegas team. So we're going to have a little fun. We're going to share information about what they might be doing at the show, and maybe some tips on other things that you can do while in Vegas. So, and I heard a rumor that it might be, because it's a holiday party, there might be a little. I don't think you can make it. Sorry. Okay. That's it. Thanks very much. As I said, it was a little bit of a challenge to broadcast remotely today, but I think we did okay. Ronique, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Dan, big thanks to the folks at Consumer Reports for working on the tech bar with us, and I look forward to seeing you in Vegas.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks very much.
Absolutely.
Okay, and Brian, thanks again. Everyone, have a great week.
You too.
Bye.